The decolonizers speak a lot about decolonizing history. Now, how has history been colonized? There is, first of all, the ancient period, which the Muslims didn't know anything about, but the British knew a lot about it, and in fact did a lot to reconstruct that history. And to some extent, you should be grateful to them. But then they also distorted the history, or at least they didn't mean to distort it, but they imposed certain paradigms on it that at that time were fashionable. It is not true, as very many people in India claim, that they concocted the Aryan Invasion Theory. The Aryan Invasion Theory, that is to say, the idea that the homeland of the Indo-European, or then so-called Aryan languages, that they originated outside India, that theory was very common in Europe. That was genuinely believed before it was imported into India. At first it was not like that. Around 1800, most people in Europe believed that the newly discovered Indo-European family of languages, uniting most Indian languages with most Iranian and European languages. At first they thought that this originated in India and that all these languages descended from Sanskrit. Now, the first linguistic studies showed that these languages did not descend from Sanskrit, that in fact Sanskrit itself already descended from a common ancestor that was not very different from Sanskrit, but at least substantially, and to which also the other languages, Greek, Germanic, Celtic, Latin, could be deduced. So that was simply something they believed. And when the theory entered India, then of course certain parties saw the use of the theory. Christian missionaries thought it was wonderful to show that for Indians the Vedic religion was not their religion, it was imposed on them, so they could just as well drop it. And Christianity was not really Indian, but it was certainly not worse than the Vedic religion. Moreover, the Vedic religion, they claimed, had oppressed the natives, had forced them into caste slavery. And Christianity wasn't that bad. So, on balance, natives would do well to convert to Christianity. The then not yet called Dalit advocates, but at least the low caste and non-Brahmin movement that was starting, that was emerging, found it very useful to claim to be the natives, whereas the upper castes would be invaders. The British, of course, thought it was very useful to say that they themselves had done nothing special, nothing new. They had only done what the Vedic Aryans had done before, namely to invade and conquer India. And finally, not to forget, the Indians themselves thought it was very useful. Not just a particular class of Indians, most Indians thought so. Because in a way, it put them in the same category as the British. It was a way to say, but we are not inferior to you. We are on an equal footing with you. And indeed, abroad, they did use that argument. The first Indian immigrants in America were faced with the question that they would be categorized by race. You had whites and blacks in America. The Chinese who came in California were given a special category. And so what to do with Indians? Now, some Indians look pretty dark, not really black, but then many blacks in America are not really black either. You know, they're very often half-breeds. In America, you have the so-called one-drop rule, which means that any taint of blackness is enough to label you as black. Therefore, it would have been logical within the racist framework to label perhaps not all Indians, but many Indians as black. Now, the Hindus went against that, and other Indians that might have come, by saying, no, we are Aryans. We are just like you, we are Aryans. So we belong in the same category as you. So you see, many people try to make hay out of the Aryan Invasion Theory. And it was not concocted. You see, it is not first you have a political design and then a scholarly theory is fashioned to fit that political design. No, first you have a scholarly theory and then political administrators see the use that they can make of it by, for example, deriving from it that the British had every right to start controlling India.